If you wanna see my amazing indicators, watch a video all the way through. But I'm getting warning signs, huge warning signs. Bitcoin's at risk of going lower now. Look at the indicators. Again, we're going sideways, but look at the indicators going back to negative with this failed rally, getting another lower high. I'll be talking about that in this video. Oscillators are going negative. Again, I had the divergence at the peak. We have now confirmed a lower high with this lower high and eventually get a lower low, but we're struggling. We're back into the lower portion of the cloud right here, into the negative region. Signals are moving into the negative region. Trying to recover off the 50-period moving average in the daily time frame at the moment. We're trying to rebound a little bit. You now have a series of lower highs. Just because we lose the 50-period moving average and take out the support zone. Warning signs from signals that are starting to turn negative here. Set up yet another lower high. All the way through, and you'll see some amazing signals. Share with you the Elliott wave count. Make sure you don't forget to support the channel. If you like my indicators, if you like my charts, support the channel. Share with you later in the video what I'm doing. I've been going sideways. Signals have been going back from, look at the background, green, red, back and forth. Now it's turning back to red today. So again, video all the way through, and I'll show you some indicators and the risks here. Tensions in the Middle East could rattle the markets further, especially if the United States gets involved. Not going to do anything, but it's going to be an excuse to sell. The whole thing in the Middle East will probably be wrapped up in a couple of weeks here. It's going to create a regional war. What country is going to join Iran so Iran can get a nuclear weapon? And joining Iran, becoming a target for Israel or maybe the U.S.? What country is going to explain to me? What country is going to do this? No country. It's not going to be a regional war. Iran is losing, and they're about to be defeated very quickly, and they're much weaker than everybody thinks. Now, at the lows of the session, Bitcoin futures was trying to get a bearish reversal of conditions. Again, I've got mixed signals, but I'm getting some warning signs that, again, we now have a lower high, two lower highs below the May 22nd peak. If we do get a bearish reversal of conditions, if we take out the 50 on the Bitcoin price, then we'll get a bigger sell. The 50 here with futures is a little bit lower. This is Bitcoin futures in the daily time frame. The resistance zone is holding. This is not good. Clear the resistance zone is if the advance is going to resume. The risk is that we're in larger corrective move right now, which is starting to look more and more likely. Watch the video all the way through. Now we're down. Bitcoin futures is down about 3.5%. Bitcoin's in that. Remember, the futures has small discrepancies because it doesn't trade around the clock. There are breaks, and then it's closed over the weekends. So we still have blue bars, green cloud. I'll be watching to see if that changes, but I am seeing some problems. Now getting another lower high. Seeing some signals starting to warn. We might get a bigger sell-off if we take out the 50 period on Bitcoin's price. You'll see that in this video. Now, I've been talking to you about this scenario that we've peaked on May 22nd and that we got a lower high. Now we're going to get a lower low in a larger wave 2 correction and a 5-leg push down. It looks like that is going to be the case. We have things likely ready to escalate. Not Iran is such in a weakened state. The U.S. is probably going to get involved in the next few days or maybe by the weekend. We see maybe Trump waits until Friday, but it looks like they're going to do what's necessary and probably bring in the bunker busting bombs. Iran had their chance to make a deal with Trump. They blew it. Now that they're being attacked to deal with the nuclear threat, all of a sudden they want a ceasefire to delay it because they're much weaker than everybody believes. Again, they are depleting very quickly their long-range ballistic missiles. They only have a few hundred left, and Israel is actually destroying some of the missiles in their strikes. The Israeli officials are calling for Tehran to be evacuated. Trump is calling for it to be evacuated. They're going to go in. They're saying Israel's going to take out 10 nuclear sites, targets, I should say, in Tehran country. They have the nuclear facilities. They're deep underground, 300 feet underground in rock mountains. Israel has bunker busting bombs. Take them several times to do this. If the U.S. gets involved, they have much better. The bunker busting bombs, they'd be able to knock it out with one strike. And again, if the U.S. gets involved, now what happened yesterday, Iran in firing ballistic missiles into civilian populations and killing them and injuring them, was not doing that. Ended up damaging the U.S. embassy. Now, the U.S. has a reason to get involved. They probably will. This is not going to be a regional war. This is not going to be World War III. Iran is so weak. That's what people don't seem to understand. Israel penetrated their air defense systems back in October. Israel's controlling their skies right now. There's nothing that Iran can do about it. They're about to run out and deplete their stockpile of long-range missiles that can reach Israel. Once they do, it's over. Senior military leaders have been eliminated. Nuclear scientists have been eliminated. The regime, the Iranian regime, could be toppled here in the next few weeks or within days, possibly. Nonsense. Oh, this is going to be this is preventing a long-term war, because when if these missiles were being fired at Israel and they had nuclear weapons attached to them? Trump is saying that, again, calling for an unconditional surrender now on social media. He's saying we know where Supreme Leader hiding. Put pressure on them to surrender. He's calling for an unconditional surrender. But yesterday he left the G7 early, the G7 summit, and he said Bush should evacuate Tehran. Looks like the U.S. is going to get involved. Could rattle markets, but again, it's not going to create a long-term war. Very short-lived. Could, again, give us these wave 2 pullbacks, and it looks like Bitcoin is doing that. So it looks like the U.S. is probably going to get involved before the weekends, or maybe by the weekend. Maybe they wait till markets close by Friday. I don't know that they do. Israel didn't wait until the weekend in striking Iran, initially striking Iran. This is probably going to be over in a couple weeks. Israel's saying it's going to be over in a couple weeks. All they're going to do is go in there, take out these nuclear sites. Iran now is begging to restart negotiations if Israel stops. They're just doing their same old delay tactics. Israel's not going to let them get a nuclear weapon. It is looking like the U.S. is probably going to get involved now. You know, the U.S. Embassy has been damaged by one of the missiles by Iran. Trump said 3 days ago that the U.S. had nothing to do with the attack on Iran. Are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. So it looks like Trump leaving the G7 early. They're in the White House right now holding meetings about all this. It does look like that the U.S. is going to likely get involved, probably going to come in with the bunker busting bombs, finish the job. That's what it's looking like. So this is going to end. It'll rattle markets for a little while, but then eventually we're going to go to new highs. Trying to show you all of this so you can understand Bitcoin is going to have more volatility and why it's having volatility right now. Lastly, before we look at the Bitcoin charts real fast, again, Trump just posted this a few hours ago calling for an unconditional surrender. Iran wants to negotiate fire so they could, if they'll return to negotiations, it's too late for that. Trump is now saying, tell us to stop, have an surrender, unconditional surrender. That is your only choice. Said earlier in the week, they should have took the deal. They should have. Had no interest in making a deal. They had interest in getting a nuclear weapon so they can use it. The narrative is going to rattle markets in all likelihood. Oh, we're getting there. The U.S. is getting involved. This is going to be a big conflict and a big regional war. And Iran is so pathetically weak. It's not. This is going to be that they're going to go in and finish the job, moving the nuclear threat, and this is going to be over in a couple of weeks, be in a couple of days. That's how weak Iran is. People don't get it. Political issues, they can rattle markets for a little while. It ends, giving us a wave 2 for Bitcoin. In my last update, it was becoming less and less likely that Bitcoin was going to reach the trend line at 114,000, becoming more and more likely that we are already in the corrective move from the peak in May 22nd. I talked about the bullish and the bearish counts, but I told you the bearish count was becoming more and more likely that we would set up a lower high. That, in fact, did happen. It's a bullish count. I think, again, it is much less likely now, our lower high and probably about to get a lower low soon, probably in wave 3 right now. Second 5-leg push lower. It was a bullish count. I talked about this possibility. Last update, I told you it was becoming less and less likely. This count is more likely. Now, again, are telling us, oh, we're going to crash and go down and take out this low. And again, I told you this was a major bottom. We're going to get a corrective move, and it's probably already begun from the May 22nd high, and likely seeing it unfold in a zigzag correction, which is a 5-3-5 pattern. Here's the first 5-leg push down, giving us A. We have an ABC up for B. Okay, and that gave us a lower high. That's the resistance zone. Sold off, we came back up. That's probably wave 2. We had that 3% rally back up. Trump posted about evacuating Tehran, and we sold off, and then we continue to sell off today. And right now, Bitcoin's down about 3%, and we're probably in the wave 3. We could rebound back up, so get another lower high, but eventually this low is likely going to be taken out. You're probably in the wave 3, 4, and 5. It may be more dramatic. I've got it going into the Independence Day holiday. Not last that long. It may be shorter. It may be than it is. We rebound back up and we just kind of drift down, and we even go down further and then come back up and so forth. I don't know that we come back all the way down to the double bottom confirmation line, but we could come down. There's a gap fill with the futures at the low 90,000 range. We could come down into 90, 91, 92, 93,000 very easily. So again, I think this scenario is very, very likely now. Marked the wave 1 being complete with this count, with a 1, a 2, this whole thing being 3 here, 4, and then 5 right here with A, B, and C. So that's what I think is likely the case right now. At least scenario is becoming more and more likely with the series of lower highs and the long-term sideways move that we've had here. Becoming less likely that this was a wave 4 and we're now in wave 5. Wave 4 would be much bigger than the wave 2. Talked about this in my last update. So this is what I think is going on. This is the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. And again, let me be clear. I do think we're going to sell up, but I think we're going to get the higher low. So it looks like right now that we likely peaked on May 22nd. Remember, Bitcoin peaked ahead of the market. The stock market peaked on February 19th. Bitcoin peaked on January 20th. It peaked weeks before the stock market. Likely seeing the same thing now. Bitcoin peaked here on May 22nd. This rally with the stock market, and it's recently made new highs in the month of June here. So again, it could be a very similar situation before we got the sell-off in February with the stock market. Bitcoin peaked in January and began to sell off and go sideways and eventually sold off. But this is what I think is likely going to be the case. Before I leave the chart, I just want to say I do believe that we have a wave 1 and 2 here of our wave C, and we're likely in the wave 3 right now. Could rebound back up, another lower high, but again, the resistance zone is holding the resistance zone with the prior 2 peaks, giving us yet another lower high. This is probably the 5-leg push down in all likelihood. We'll see if the U.S. does get involved, and if it does it happen before the weekends? Does it happen after the markets close? The stock market closes on Friday. We'll see how it plays out, but it looks like the U.S. is going to get involved, and that's probably going to rattle markets for the short term. Come in July, we're going to get the tax bill passing, and the president's going to end up signing that. That'll be a positive thing. We're going to likely get the extension July 9th of the tariffs. The tariffs were paused, so for negotiations to take place. Probably get another pause with that happening in early July. We sell off going into July, but then I think we find a bottom and then resume the advance. About this scenario of a divergence developing on the RSI and R, we've only got confirmation of lower high. Now the RSI is pushing back below 50. If it remains there, we can get the bigger sell-off in the right shoulder, moving back to the 200 and the 100 period moving average here. We're right now at the 50 period, testing it again. We end up losing this area. You're going to get the bigger pullback. But like I said, I think it's only going to come down. I think it will drop below 100,000. I think it's going to come into the low 90,000 range or so. if we do have the corrective move right now. I talked about breakdown of the rising wedge. So far that is playing out, and we have that lower high. Now we'll probably get a lower low eventually, and then we'll probably bottom down in here in this range in the low 90s somewhere, in all likelihood, if the correction is underway, and it's sure looking more and more like it is. I talked about these two trend lines, one here reaching the 114,000 area, this scenario that I have drawn here. The other one I told you we could turn off of this trend line right here. We overthrew it, hit 112,000. So far, that's correct. Again, I believe you're forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, and you're likely getting the right shoulder probably right now, as we have probably already peaked on May 22nd. Now, I've told you I'm doing two things. One thing I'm doing is I bought my positions and I'm holding longer term, ignoring short-term price fluctuations. I believe Bitcoin's going a lot higher, and again, accumulating my position down at the bottom. I'm doing nothing with that position. The other position, I told you that, again, I was going to try to sell into lower high being set up, which is what we've got. In addition to my long-term position, I have a short-term swing trade. I've now closed that position. Had the rally yesterday, it fizzled out, get selling pressure today. Again, I think that this scenario is likely. My core position, I'm doing nothing. My swing trade position, I've closed it. Same thing, accumulated it down at the bottom, sold into the rally initially, bought it back, and then 75% of it back, and then have now sold the whole thing. I believe this scenario is probably going to play out. Looking to buy another swing trade when the wave 5 is done. Now taking a short position short term because I believe we're likely going down. Great places for stops just above the high here, just above the high here, just above the high here. You have the resistance zone and this lower high. I am long holding my core position. I've taken profits on my swing trade. Set out. I've now taken a short position. I told you I might do. I did do. I think we're going to drop below 100,000 in all likelihood. We can bounce up first, lower high, but you got major resistance right here. So again, a great low risk entry for a short position there. Still long with my long-term core position, but in another account, I am shorting Bitcoin with a lower high and intend to ride that down for a short-term trade, probably over the next week or two here. And again, if we go higher, then I'll be stopped out in that position. But again, a lower risk entry for me. Taking profits on my swing trade up, trying to play the wave 1. I told you I wasn't sure if it was done over here. I'm becoming more and more convinced that it is done now with the sideways move that was taken place and with the volatility getting a lower high now, lower high here and another lower high likely completed B, and we're now in the wave C for a 5-leg push lower. What I'm doing, not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Again, I still have a long position on Bitcoin, holding for several months. Great entry, and that's my strategy for my core position, but I'm also playing the swings, trying to play the wave 1, trying to play the wave 2, and then I'll try to play the wave 3. The way I'm playing it, not a recommendation to buy or sell for anybody to buy or sell anything. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing, and I told you in my last update I would try to be selling into the rally because I thought we would get a wave 2, and I talked about that before that rally got underway in 2 videos ago, and then last video talking about it starting, which was likely going to set up a lower high. So again, this is what I believe is going on. You play it how you want to play it. That's how I'm playing it. Swing move, close a long position. I'm short. Going to try to close it down here somewhere. Go higher, I get stopped out. Low risk entry. We're getting a pretty big sell-off, so we might rebound back up and get a lower high before another lower high before we get a bigger drop. Unfold in a 5-leg push lower with a wave 3, and this wave 3 might be deeper here, just penciling it in here, but could rebound back up. See a 5-leg push here with this wave 3. If we rebound with the Fed before the week ends, we're selling off right now, we could rebound. So again, I'll be watching below the 200. The 50 is probably going to drop back below the 200 soon, and again, you'll probably see this bigger sell-off over the next few weeks. Trying to play these swing moves back and forth, but holding my longer term core position separately. That's the way I'm playing it. You do what you want. I want to show you a couple of things why I think the bearish scenario is much more likely now. And again, as I've talked about, we've gone sideways. Previously here with the ribbon, it called the bottom. Look at that. Nailed that bottom, nailed the top over here, out the ribbon and tried to get back above it here. It failed, and we had red all the way down, reaffirmed the bearish signals here. And then we got the blue and got above the ribbon, and the bars have been blue, and they've been blue. But we got that topping tail with yesterday's bar, getting that lower high. We got a topping tail. We're coming back to the ribbon. We tried to get back above it, and it failed. You got the gray area telling you, hey, the trend might change right here. It warned of it right here, but it didn't happen. Over here, it tried to change back to bullish. It didn't happen. We still made new lows. Right here, it's warning you with the gray shaded area, saying, hey, the trend could be trying to change right here. And so far, we haven't been able to do it. You don't have the red, but again, you close below the ribbon, you're going to have the red show up. The bar is still neutral. We're down right now. The bar won't get the final print until the close, but the other bars have been blue. If we close below the ribbon, you're going to have a sell signal, just like you had the bullish signal over here, just like you had the sell signal over here. Again, I am becoming more and more convinced that we're in the correction for the right shoulder right now and that we're pulling back. Maybe we dodge the sell signal here by the end of the session, but it could happen before the week because, again, you've got a lower high, and now you have another lower high that's struggling right here at the ribbon. You push below this ribbon, you're going to get the bigger pullback. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now look at the cloud. We're dropping back below it. Look at this. Again, when we bottomed out, we got above the cloud. It turned green. We've been green. We tried to drop below it here. It failed. Tried to go sideways now. Got back above the cloud, dropped back below it, got back above it, and now we're back below it. So going sideways, again, you're moving the lower boundary of the cloud's now flipping red. So again, to believe we're in the larger correction probably right now. We lost the lower boundary of the cloud. We dropped below it, got back above it, got a lower high, got a topping tail here. Again, not good. Now we're dropping back into the negative levels here to flip the cloud to bearish. It's failing. It's failing to clear the resistance zone, getting a lower high, and now it's reverting back to bearish. And so I'm telling you, again, we're likely going to get the bigger pullback right now, unless the signals all begin to turn back to bullish. Right now, you're trying to get a bearish reversal of conditions with the Bitcoin futures and IBIT ETF, again, likely opening the door for a bigger sell-off over the next couple of weeks. Momentum line is still bearish, going sideways. Again, we've been going back and forth. We had green, red bars, green, red, now red, green, and the red. Going sideways, but the momentum line flipped back to bearish with the lower high over here at the resistance zone. Now we get another lower high. Again, you're probably going to move back towards the 100 period moving average. You'll probably end up dropping back below 100,000 with a lower high and a lower low for an ABC corrective move. Now look what's going on here. We had a dip below the cloud here. We bounced off the 50. Tried to flip it, got the lower high. Came back down, took out the cloud, tried to flip it back up yesterday. We got a topping tail and we couldn't do it. The cloud is now flipping to red. The momentum has been going sideways. You went from blue to red to blue, now back to red. So again, this is telling you you're likely going to get that larger sell-off, and it's probably going to happen when we take out the 50 period. That's the green line right there. But I'm seeing warning signs that, hey, we're at risk of getting a bigger sell-off right here, right now. The potential of a lower high and a lower low if we take out that 50 period. We're trying to bounce off of it right now. We've sold off, rebound a little bit here, and again, we still may try to rally back up and get a lower high and still come down to lower levels and, you know, see a 5-leg push lower, something like that, all is said and done. But it is looking like the larger correction is probably underway. But at the top here, I did get some warning signs, but really had mixed signals as we went sideways at these peaks. Some of the signals were very bearish here, warning. Others were not on sideways. Unless we can go up and clear the resistance zone, again, path of least resistance is likely lower. You have the support zone here from the low here and the low here. You take it out, bigger drop to test the 200 period moving average. So the resistance zone, the support zone, watching which way we break. But right now, I'm becoming more and more convinced that we already have the wave 2 correction underway in all likelihood. I was probably wrong about being able to reach that 114,000 area because we've gone sideways. We've taken too long. But again, you can clearly see signals are flipping back to bearish here as we've gone sideways. They remain that way. We're at risk of getting a bigger sell-off if we take out our 50-period moving average. That's the green line you see right there that we keep bouncing off of. Over here, signals turned bearish. You had the warning with the red bars first, and then we saw the cloud flip, tried to flip it to blue bars, tried to flip it here, couldn't do it. Did flip the cloud and back to blue bars here. And again, we're going back and forth from blue to red bars back and forth, but now we're flipping the cloud. Over here, with the testing of the 50, we didn't flip the cloud. We are now doing it. You can see the cloud is turning red there. That's very problematic for Bitcoin. But the lower high with our topping tail yesterday is a huge, huge red flag. I talked about the Bollinger Bands tightening up, telling us something's big is getting ready to happen, and right here, it's still, they're still tightening. We did get a sell signal here. I told you we don't have to. Just tag that upper Bollinger Band, and we turn down off of it, but we're going sideways. Look at the background. It's going from green to red to green to red to green to red, just showing us that we're just saying now it's flipping back to red today. So again, huge red flags that we're probably going to pull back. Now, I don't think we're going to come back and take out these lows down here. I told you that. I think we're going to eventually pull back, but I told you, could the top be here, or do we go a little bit higher? Obviously, I told you I thought we'd go a little higher to the 114,000 area. Not so convinced of that anymore because of the signals that I'm seeing. Now, if I just remove some indicators, you can see something here important, and that is this line represents a swing move. We went up, we peaked, and we started going sideways. This is telling us we're going sideways. Move back to orange, telling us that sideways. It moved back to neutral. If we start taking out the 50 period in the daily time frame, then again, you'll likely see it turn back to red. It was neutral over here during the topping process. The peak here went neutral, and then we topped, and then eventually it did turn red here at the bigger sell-off. I told you that if we reach 114,000, we might see a topping signal like we did over here in January and over here in December, the bottoming signal at the bottom here in April. We didn't have that. We don't have to get that. If we take out the 50 period, we start taking out the support zone, as I've said, then again, you're likely going to see this neutral stance go to bearish and taking that level out. If we are in the wave 3, and it sure looks like we probably are, we can bounce. Right now we're trying to rebound, as I'm making the video, off of the lows of the session. If we can't make a higher high, if we stall here at this low or the resistance zone above it, then again, the bears will remain in control for the short term. I told you, again, I had some topping signals like over here, and this was telling me we either have a top, I talked to you about that at the time, or we're getting a pullback. These other ones were pullbacks. This was a bottom. These were tops over here. Right here we have nothing. So again, maybe that is a top now. You have to take out the 50 period moving average. You have to take out this purple line right here. Purple and orange line act as support. We keep dropping below the orange line, getting back above it, drop below it. Now we're back below it again. You take out this purple line and the support zone, you're going to go lower. If we do go lower, the indicator here is likely going to tell me where the bottom is. The red and green circles mark this is where momentum is about to shift. Now, sometimes that causes bottoms and tops. Other times it's counter trend moves and rallies, pullbacks. So again, this so far is possibly marking a peak. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. If you take a moment to do that, I would really appreciate it. Most channels make their money through sponsors. I choose not to do that. But I need to hear from you in order to make that work. If you like these indicators, let me know. You want this information by supporting the channel. Anything helps. If you could take a moment to do that, I would really, really appreciate it. I thank you for that. And then just quickly, I just want to again point out the Fibonacci retracements and the 100 period moving average. Bitcoin follows the 100 period moving average. If you ever learn anything from me, learn that. Bitcoin follows the 100 period moving average. That's this pink line right here. When you're above it, good things are happening. When you're below it, bad things are happening. Bitcoin is not hard to understand. It follows the 100 period moving average. Make some amazing calls. Know when to be bullish and bearish on Bitcoin by the 100 period. I'm still longer term bullish. I just think we're going to pull back towards the 100 period moving average, probably end up dropping below it, because that's what Bitcoin has a history of doing. What it did with the last correction, this 32% drop we had, we dropped 33% previously, and what did it do? It actually got above the 100 period and pulled back to it. You're likely going to see the same thing here. It got above the 100 period. Here's the 200, the black line, the 50s right here. Again, watching. Do we see this happen immediately? Does this go on? But it's becoming more and more likely that the bearish, short-term bearish scenario, the short-term top, has likely been put in. I mean, longer-term bullish on Bitcoin. I'm looking at these Fibonacci retracements. If the high over here holds from this entire advance, our Fibonacci retracements, the entire advance, this is the Fibonacci retracements. The 38.2 is coming in at the 200 period right now. If we take out the 50, that's an interesting place. Right below that is a 100 period. Right below that is the 50% retracement at 91,350 or so, rounding up. There is a gap fill in that area with the Bitcoin futures. We could see this area tested. Right below that is the confirmation line of the double bottom. The double bottom with our 61.8 Fibonacci, that's 88,500, the double bottom confirmation line. The 61.8 Fibonacci is at 87,050. So just right at that low 87,000 area. So I think you're going to end up pulling back to the 50% retracement or back testing the breakout of the double bottom and end up dropping below the 100 period moving average. Dash the hopes of the moon boys, dash the hopes of the herd, and again, then guess what's going to happen? The Black Rocks of the world and the whales, they're going to be scooping up Bitcoin. Again, want to buy Bitcoin at a discount. It's going to end up dropping back down. We'll see how we close right here. Right now, we're trying to recover off the 50 period moving average, but the risk is that we now have a lower high. Eventually, we're going to take out the support zone and get a lower low, a lower high, lower low, and then you can get a bigger correction back into this area, dropping back below 100,000. I think that's likely going to be the case now. I wanted to show you these Fibonacci retracements. I'm watching them with great interest. It's likely that wave 1 is done, and we're now in the wave 2 that's going to come into here or come into here or something as we go into the July 4th Independence Day holiday, or maybe by July 9th, the expiration of the pause for the tariffs, and Trump's probably going to renew the pause. Negotiations are ongoing with several countries. We'll be announcing other tariff news in the next 2 weeks that could rattle the markets, which we got that news just recently. Watch the Fibonacci retracements.